Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Awareness Club Talks. I'm here today joined by Alina and Bogdan.
Hi, Rainer.
Glad to be here.
Today we're discussing a topic which is not really anymore such a niche issue, but actually a collective condition, which is the topic of burnout. Let's discuss what actually burnout is, how does it originate, and how does it actually feel. So let's dive right in maybe with the first question. What actually is burnout? How can you define it, and how can you realize in yourself that it's happening?
I think it will be nice as well to read or to put on the screen the definition or the mainstream definition of the burnout with as well its associated words. But in this moment, let me put it my way, or in the way how I felt it, not once, not twice, but 3 times, because it looks like I have not learned the lesson from the beginning. And I think that if I would describe it in a way, it's exhaustion. It's a form of depletion of energy, of willpower, of desire, of being alive somehow. I'm not going towards that form of depression that is very bad, but so I felt depleted, emotional, willpower, and physically. And then I had another layer on top of this, which was the whipping of oneself, which in my case was like, what's wrong with you? You're eating enough, you're not sleeping enough, but anyway, who cares about the sleep? And you have to move forward, you cannot stop, it's impossible to stop, not at this moment, maybe later. So it was clearly a total disconnection with myself. I was totally neglecting myself in a glorious way. Eventually the body fails. Everything fails. The mind fails, the body fails, the emotional system fails, everything. It's like a down spiral of things and events. Eventually the body literally cannot go on. And it refuses to go, regardless how much you push it.
Leading even to, like you mentioned, maybe self-doubt eventually, that you doubt yourself, that you're not properly coping with what is expected of you for whatever reason.
Exactly. Even a form of loss of identity. And I'm curious actually to discover this in our further inquiries with specialists or scientists, to which degree the identity of oneself is actually questioned in a burnout. Because even if you do what you like, for example, for me, burnout, let's take it very concrete in a study case, let's put it this way, burnout came inside the family, the last one that I had. And I did it with all my love, with everything that everything it was driven from a point of love, from a point of compassion. So from a good place, let's put it, it's still not enough. Because if you do not nourish yourself first, or at least be honest with your powers, what are your boundaries, what are your limits in giving? And we have a saying in Romanian that if you stretch too much and you make basically your blankets too small, you're always going to be outside. So it's the same form of thing. It's an overdoing.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to make a clarification what it is the difference between burnout and depression.
They are very linked. I think in a burnout, a depression, it is as well a key point in which, because a depression, it's actually a way in which the psyche goes a bit off its own path. So it's actually the psyche being the soul, not necessarily just the psyche as a mindset. And it's when you are outside of who you truly are. You're going far away from your path. For me, this is depression, regardless of all the medical description, which is very clear, which is I totally agree. But for me, depression, it's a form of divinity or higher self to tell you, you are out of your path. And it is a good sign in itself. The problem is when you stick to depression for too long and you don't learn the lesson that depression has to give you, and sometimes you arrive to medication, and from that it's very hard to get out.
I was hearing a discussion which felt very interesting about depression, because most of the time when you are depressed, it's going inside. You are restricting yourself from the external world more and more and more and more, and then your mind starts to shift, and then you are projecting a lot of ideas, and you are going into the down spiral. On the other hand, another perspective that we can switch in our approach is to take that time and to use it as an ally, as a moment in which we are just looking inside and spending more time with ourselves, because the body cannot, or in the mind and the energetic field, cannot anymore give in the outside and manifest, and it needs to go on the inside. It needs all the time, but if you don't have a hygiene in this sense, then at one point you arrive to be so empty that you cannot perform outside anymore. So it's a desperation into going inside, and all the systems are sending you inside. So it is depression itself. It's a good thing if we don't look at it as depression, but more like compression. So in this compression, you compress yourself, and you go inside yourself into discovering and to putting the light on what matters, and to bring that to flourishing, and then to be able to get outside into a new shape, maybe with new definitions, maybe with new anchors, or whatever you need in that process. So it's a simple shift in mind and in terms, from depressed to compressed. And then when you compress, then you have so much more power to expand again.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Let's maybe roll back a little bit to also understand the context and to understand where burnout and depression as well, but specifically burnout, originates from. What is the current societal situation that makes so many people have a burnout and need to experience this unfortunate event?
I think there are many factors, but one of them, maybe the most important, it's too much information.
Too many options.
Maybe when our grandparents were young, they were processing in their lifetime the quantity of information that we are processing in one day. Only thinking of that, it makes that people are getting huge pipes of information, and you see all these mental issues and mental problems that developed over time, and this unbalance of people. On the other hand, from this too much information, you are adapting, or you are projecting yourself in all these fantasies, dreams, whatever you are having, and these are creating new standards. And whilst you want to adapt and you are going to the higher and higher standards on multiple lines, can be someone that is striving for beauty as well, and for financial freedom, and for having a good relationship with the kids, and so on. All these standards and expectations are increasing so much, and then when you cannot achieve any one of them, then you're going into a down spiral, into seeing everything that is black. And then we come back to that compression, because that is a signal in which you can again look from a different perspective to your life, and to understand what are your values, and who are you truly, and what you need to fulfill, not in order to fit in external expectations or in projected outcomes, but in something that is true to yourself, so that you don't shift too much.
When you spoke about that, I remember the phrase that is echoing into my mind, that I heard it from so many people. Sky is the limit. You know, this is such a beautiful, the American dream that everybody actually wanted somehow in their life. And in the same time, it fits perfectly to a specific typology, which is the overachievers, the one that cannot stop to whatever it is that they are having as goals or as dreams, or in order to achieve them, because it's not possible for them to stop until they arrive to burnout. And then you realize that the sky, it is not a realistic limit. You really have to know your limit, your body limits, your mental limits, your there are so many things about boundaries and about health in all of this that we undermine. We literally trade them for that extra push. Oh, I will just a tiny bit more and I will make it. I will just arrive to that goal if I will just sacrifice 10 more nights, 10 months, and I will be there. And you arrive at 9 in the hospital. Or in 10 years, you look 20 years older than you should be. Or you sacrifice the joy of your kids, to see your kids growing. Or God, there is a price. The idea for this current societal ideal of a human, always be at your best, always do your best, but be aware that your best is going to change from time to time. It's not going to be the same. You're not a robot. You don't charge yourself and you are optimized every night to become better and better. We become better and better, but we should have layers on which we consolidate what we have accumulated. Growth is not happening like this. We are not rockets. We are just human bodies with consciousness and our humanly goals, except the societal ones. And growth, it's actually more like stairs. You have a vertical one, then you sit a little bit there, you understand how you benefit, you enjoy, you take pleasure into celebrating your journey, your achievement. You don't just go like a rocket. That is non-sustainable, and this is actually the ideal. People or young people understand, which is amazing, that they can do everything they want. But to what price are you going to do and to achieve everything?
Yes, and if I can extend the conversation, what you are saying, it's also a reflection of putting happiness and putting fulfillment outside of yourself.
Oh, totally.
Because it describes a world where everybody is looking for something outside of them in order to be happy. And when I will achieve that, I will be happy. And then when I will have the beautiful house, I will be happy. And you're always projecting to something else and you never arrive to that point. So this can be an exhaustion on a long term, not even mentioning what you're speaking on a short term, that is depleting because of the impact of your actions. Yes. But on a long term, because you're never achieving, you are always projecting, and this comes from also from non-duality, in which it's this perspective from Rupert Spira that we once we embody and once we are coming to this human experience, the soul itself, which is in plenitude, is complete, it lacks nothing, it's in unity or in singularity as it was before Big Bang, or in pure consciousness. Then in order to come into the body, it always it separates from a subject-object perspective, and then it forgets its pure essence, but it has a remembrance of that plenitude. And it always dreams to be full again. And wherever we are looking for material achievements, or we are looking for substances or love, or even something more elevated like to be enlightened, it's also still doing something to be whole again.
before burnout, my life was like a buzz. A buzz in which I was waking up, I was trying to do things around the house, I was trying to use the phone, respond to mails, doing the same time some food, put something to wash, then trying to go to a meeting, and it's all this multitasking philosophy that it's so draining, and I have only understood after it took me, I think, 3 months to undo the multitasking. It's like literally on a computer, you open up new tabs with new things to do. Oh yes, I can do this. I am multitasking. So now I'm going to start this action, and by the time this here's, I will go to the next one, and so on. And by the time in a few hours, I was starting around 5 or 6 activities, which I was switching from one to another, like I was basically 5 or 7 people that were taking care of different stuff. That by the end of the day, it was disastrous. And the problem is that the hyperactivity of my brain in all this configuration of going from one thing to another was disconnecting me so much, and was creating such a vibration and a buzz that when I was trying to rest, I was not able, I was staying with my eyes wide open and thinking, what else should I do? What else should I do? Did I forget something? It took me 3 months to undo that and learn to do one task 0.0 to the end.
Also, if you brought this up, we should also mention that you are a projector, and from types of energies,
Yes.
which is very important, because there are other people that are having a constant flux of energy and that are able to do all these sorts of tasks, and without them, I don't know what we will do. So it's also a differentiation between each one of us, not only on a personal side, but also on the energetic field, considering the human design categories.
Yes.
So it seems that one of the primary causes is losing touch with yourself and getting yourself lost actually in the process, and in this overwhelming...
In this doing.
In just doing stuff and losing yourself in it. So
you're just pushing your being. It's like you're having an animal from, that you're holding the, I don't know how it's called, when they have like a sort of leash, and you just gently, not at all, leading this animal, which is you actually, doing this and that, and you're not compassionate, you're not loving, you're not listening to its needs at all.
So what would you recommend or suggest in order for people to, as early as possible, to see the first signs of burnout in order to avoid? What would be practical steps to reflect on yourself, to start being aware of what is actually happening to you in order not to fall into let's say, a severe burnout?
Mm-hmm. It depends on the level of awareness, self-awareness that a person has or is currently using. For me, in this moment, after I think I have arrived to a point of listening to myself or putting my needs in their place, not somewhere aside.
Prioritize.
Exactly, prioritizing. I understand my body is showing me where and how I should rest. So I am aware of when my body needs rest. And then it's again a choice, right? Everything, it's about choosing. This is the beauty of awareness. And then I was surprised, for example, last week, that although I knew that we have guests and I wanted to do something to eat, but I needed to arrange a bit, tidy the house. Bogdan was going with the kids to do some shopping, but I felt depleted. I felt like I really need to rest. And I said, you know what? Maybe we are going to all cook together, but I will just go for 1 hour and have a rest. And it was delightful. It was not even an hour. There were 45 minutes or 50 minutes. But it felt so good. And then I had so much energy that by the time that everybody arrived, everything was done. The beauty it is that you don't over jump. You don't jump yourself. You don't forget about yourself. Now,
One second, just to complete you, it was that beautiful saying that there is no future or past, there is an eternal now.
exactly.
Where do you rush so much? Because when you look at your child, oh, what time is it? Is now. What time is now? Now. So
Oh yes, it's so beautiful. Yeah, Rupert Spira explained it absolutely delightful, and I think there are some before that said, if you would be able to say now, that we are now, you are going to just say now forever. So yes, but before my burnout, the last one, hopefully the last in this lifetime. I think everything started with the fact that I was not able to meet my kids' emotional needs. I was having a lot of discomfort in doing everything. I was irritable for no reason, completely depleted of energy in the morning, regardless how much sleep I was getting. I think the least body, in terms of body, the least can go on. But I was just pushing it until the body cracked and I broke my foot and I just needed to rest. And that changed. But there are many things. So it's this mental fatigue. The body, it's showing it nothing. No matter how much rest you get, no matter how good food, how much exercise you get, you're still tired. And if you go to the doctor and you rule out all the potential bodily illnesses or, let's say, mismatches, they are ruled out, then you leave yourself with going and visiting a psychologist or a good friend. If you want to isolate yourself, you don't want to go that much out, you don't enjoy the company of your friends, probably not even your kids or your pets. For me, this was the biggest signal when I was not able to meet my kids in the right way. The others I was dismissing already.
So what would you say would be maybe also some practical methods in order to regulate the pressure in yourself when you decide to take a rest and to when you realize you falling into the burnout trap and you decide to take a rest? Like you said, you were laying down, but the eyes were going and your mind was going. What would you recommend in order to, in those moments, to actually regulate the pressure inside of you, knowing that you might have stuff still to do and going on, but you also need to take the rest and to take some time off? Like, yes. What would be practical advice?
In my opinion, all these practices are good after you recovered from a burnout. Because while you recover from a burnout, which is a process that can take from months to years, depending on the exhaustion that was happening, the depletion of everything that a person has. And after that process is completed, we should remain with what I called I was calling them mental hygiene practices, but it is just human maintenance, which is bodily. You make sure that you sleep well, the right amount for oneself, right? There is no recipe for everybody. I love to sleep between 8 hours and 9 hours, but there are people who are just fine with 7. But to make sure that 7, it is exactly what the body asks, not what you have imposed over, like we have 7 hours of sleep, you have to make it in these hours, otherwise there is no rhythm.
And that is also good quality sleep, not just
Quality
sleeping, but actually getting a proper rest. So maybe also taking care of the nutrition before.
Exactly. This is linked with the body, taking care of the body. So the body needs sleep, needs good hydration, which is 2.5 liters, yes.
I just saw a research in which they were giving to two groups of people processed food and fast food, and on the others they were giving very healthy
whole foods. They are called whole foods.
Yes. So, and they were seeing the results and giving this to depressed people. And they were saying how people are getting out of depression just by changing the food that they're eating.
The nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one thing. Everything that it's inflammatory, it is a huge problem for an exhausted body. It means, yeah, and even for a healthy body, why to do so?
And then we go towards respiration. And also it was with respiration another study in which they were showing that you can take out a person that is in depression, even if you don't manage to keep it out of depression, but for a temporary period of time, just by breathing exercises, breath work,
Yes.
you are able to get them out.
Depression and anxiety are very linked. So breathing, heart coherence, breathing technique, it's actually one of them, and it's amazing. So breathing is this mental hygiene that I call, in which you every morning and every evening, first in the morning, you're giving yourself a connection to yourself and an intention to be present in the world. Presence, oh my God, this is, for me, this is it. Like when you are out of burnout, you are present. When you are in burnout, you are not present. You are hiding somewhere because you can't take it anymore. So yes, things that help you be in your body, like good food, something pleasant with people, connection, and making sure that by the evening or by the sleep you processed your day and you don't let stuff hanging on. What I was explaining at one point, for me the subconscious is like a fridge in which you stuff the things that you are not able to eat during the day because different stuff appeared. And then after a while, when you open the fridge, start smelling. And you need to clean everything there and do clean the fridge, throw out the things. By that means processing in our case as human beings. So in the evening, I'm always asking myself, what did you felt today that took you out of your center, out of your being? What emotions were there? And then I'm trying to just understand, it was me that took it wrong, or it was something that triggered me, or I was getting out of balance because I had experienced this or that, and I'm trying to put everything in order. I'm not letting them unprocessed. And if I realize that I did something wrong, which it's normal and we can arrive to that, to make sure that I repair that, firstly with me and with the person that was involved in that mismatch.
And also on the fundamental level, it's the relationship that you're having with yourself. And this you can do it in a meditation, in contemplation. So just to offer yourself time, there are even apps where you can set up an alarm on different hours just to remind yourself to take a 3 minutes or a 5-minute break from whatever you are doing and just to recenter yourself. And this is very helpful while we are doing a lot of tasks and we are having a lot of worries and we are in a continuous movement. But we should really give ourselves this space, because if we are, this is the main thing. You're going into depression if you are not aligned and if you are stretching yourself too much out of your alignment. So in order to keep the foundation solid, you should meet yourself. To be a time like now, the meditations are many types of meditations, but you can just take the simplest one, which is without purpose, without following any outcome. It's just to create a space where to meet yourself.
Yes.
It's just to let your higher self come next to you and rebound. And I think this is such a precious thing if you arrived into depression or to not arrive to a depression.
Right.
Yeah,
So
very beautifully said.
So actually the cause of, or the likelihood of falling into a burnout or a depression is the lack of awareness, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
not necessarily awareness, more alignment than awareness. Because you can have awareness It's more important, even if you don't have awareness, if you're aligned with the awareness that you're having, the smallest amount that you're having, you are keeping yourself balanced. Awareness, of course, when you add more and more awareness, you are becoming more wise, let's say. So that adds a plus, but mostly it's alignment.
For me, it's a bit of awareness too. I mean, in which sense I'm saying that as a to complete it? I was no longer aware since I started the process of burnout, started to like implement more and more. I was no longer aware. I was no longer paying. I was not going inside. I was not even checking. It's you leave the awareness. This is how I see it. You put the awareness of your needs aside, and you said, regardless of how you feel or what happens.
Awareness of the self, you mean?
Self, yeah.
Awareness of the self.
Of the self, yeah.
That is the base
self,
of the base foundation for alignment, as you were saying.
Totally true, but in the sense that awareness, it's part of it in this sense, in this regard, or it is for me. I was aware that I was not feeling good, that I was not sleeping good, that I'm putting everything aside, not everything aside, myself aside for everything else. But I was just like not looking, I was just turning my head a bit on the other. No, you have to do this right now, because if you don't do this, you're not a good mother, or a good, you're not fitting in the society. And this is exactly what I was doing wrong. It was like, instead of being present with my kids, I was multitasking in my head, because this is what a woman in this century should do, should take care of family, should take care of this, should be doing this, should be doing that. But what me personally, Alina, needed it in that time, I said, we don't care about what Alina wants, because she needs to meet up this kind of expectations in this world. She has to be a good mother, she has to be a good, and so on. And this is as well a problem of identity, in my opinion, because I was trying to integrate maternity in my life, in my being, as who I am, and I did not took the time to do that.
So it's actually both. It's like you said, the losing yourself in a sense, and being less in touch with yourself. But also, is it maybe a mismatch of humans in modern system, in modern society, that causes specifically burnout? Is it that the world it's working today is actually a mismatch of how we should be living?
Yes, it's demanding too much from us.
I think that is the challenge of life. The world can be a beautiful place, but you can be put as a life experience in a very tough environment. That is the challenge, the outside challenge. But it's how do you meet that challenge?
Yes, you accept that challenge or not?
That comes back to the alignment itself. So we come back to the same thing. That the exterior world can transform and be aligned with yourself, or you can be surrounded by an environment and by a community that reflects your state, or not. But you cannot depend on that. We come back to your independence from the exterior world.
For me, the lack of burnout translates as a person that it's able, a human that it's able to honor its being.
Did you actually have a real life experience of a burnout yourself, Bogdan?
Yeah, of course I did.
How did you cope with it? How did it first of all manifest, and how did you manage to overcome?
For me, it was not necessarily the amount of work, it was the psychological impact of not managing to see that I'm evolving and to feel like I am one with my life. It was trying here and there to adapt my life to what I was thinking that it should be.
I think that the last burnout that I had was actually the best thing that happened to me in terms of the outcome that I experienced after. Although I think after every one of them, I came out as someone more whole, more clear about oneself. But now, in this particular moment, I think is the first time when I reevaluated my life through my traumas, through my limiting beliefs, through everything that defines me as a person, which before I wasn't. I was just, oh, I need to rest, then I need to choose what I do next. I was not checking my values. I was, so now I think, but I think this is happening as well with the normal evolution of human beings. Now we have so many specialists and people that are there to help us and to overcome burnouts at 20s, when it's not pretty normal to have a burnout at 20s, yet it's very common. So yeah, I think nowadays when somebody suffers a burnout, I think it's a huge opportunity for a life reevaluation, for a system of values to be revised, reactualized, and as well for the identity of a person, like to discover, to answer to that favorite question of ours: who am I and why am I here? What is my purpose? And how can I live sustainably to be who I am and to fulfill what I'm here to do, or whatever it is that I feel at one time? Because that can change as well. In some part of our lives, we are more self-centered, then maybe we are more altruistic, and which is normal. We gain, we learn, we understand, and then we give it back through contribution or through other kind of causes. So I don't think this idea of burnout should be seen as horrific, terrible, and even if it's on a global scale, thanks God. If we wake up all at the same time, I don't think there is something more beautiful than that. But we have to do the work, and the work is to understand the limits and the capabilities of our bodies, of our beings, and how to actually serve us in the first place, so that we can serve the rest. That is a very beautiful way, I think, in which a challenging event of one's life or collective life can be transmuted and transformed into a beneficial thing. And even COVID, it was a huge, let's say, knock in at the door to see how are you standing from all perspectives.
So how would it translate living without any burnout? How, in terms of how we relate to others and how we build relationships, how we live with our closest friends and loved ones, and without any burnout symptoms, let's say?
Defining life itself should not include burnout, and that is coming back to the alignment and to be in touch with yourself. Because being in touch with yourself, it will not create the stretch in order to have the burnout. So not having a burnout does not guarantee a good life. It's just, I think, it's a checklist for the minimum necessity in order to have a normal life, or a starting point in order to create a better life and to develop.
So knowing that you two have two beautiful young kids, what would be your advice and your approach in them not falling into the trap of a burnout when they grow up one day?
To lead through example, to show through example. They've seen us in burnout, so they know us out of burnout. And there is quite a difference.
How did they perceive, or how did they react to you experiencing a burnout?
They were dysregulated, obviously, just like us.
Because they manifest the energy of the parents being so small.
Yes. And it was, now remembering, I find it harsh to be a kid and experience that, but it's not only them, it's a whole generation that had to go through this until the parents learned the lessons. That's why I was speaking earlier that one of the most important things out of a burnout is to learn something in order not to go back there, and I've been there. And I think the way that I am now with them, it's more reassuring, it's more containing, it's showing actually a way of being present and enjoying life. I'm sure that before for them, life seemed hard, harsh, maybe not something to be so enthusiastic about, and that it was because this is what I was feeling, maybe what we were feeling. And you can see the change in everything lightens up. It's becoming, although this does not mean that they will not have tantrums or their own life challenges, but the way we meet them in this process makes actually the deliciousness part of the thing.
It's a long-term sharing how to live life. And this is the type of education that was not delivered by the past generations, because it was always a thing to learn good in school, to behave, these are teachings from the old patterns. Now I think it's more on, of course, being the example that's for your kids, but also to start implementing meditation together, to start going into a beautiful place in nature and just to have moments of contemplation,
Connection.
just to have art activities in which to leave the subconscious, guide your hand into painting or to learn a new instrument. And all these small things, if they remain with the ones that they resonate on a long term, it will give sufficient foundation for them not to arrive to burnout, because they are already experienced with what it means to be in touch with oneself. So then when they will not be, they will search what is missing in order to come back to themselves.
Maybe it would also be interesting to know if you had any suggestions on how to support, let's say, a loved one or a close one in a partnership or in a marriage, like between you two or between family members that are going through a burnout. How can you support them? What would be your approach in helping them overcome those situations?
Alina will say, give them space.
I think, yes, sometimes space, it's what people need. Space to meet themselves, because if you
Compress.
Yes, because if you try to grab them and take them out of their depression, out of their thing, they could feel as aggressed as they were before. It's compassion and understanding that no matter how much would you like to do for that person, until they don't do it for themselves, and offering them the space to make their conscientization or their understandings about why they are there, why they are brought there, and to let them explore from a safety space in which it's okay that you are experiencing that. Just see why and what's in it for you. When you get out of it, with what do you go out? And I think that can come as understanding, as compassion, and reassuring. In case you need something, I am here. If you need support, I am here. But as well, making very clear, because here depends on, in the family and even friendships, of the style of attachment. I'm not going to do anything instead of you or for you, because if I will do so, you will fall back again next time and you will still need to learn your lesson.
And also to just be present and to create an environment that is more full of love and joy, because your frequency, it's impacting others. And creating that space by itself, it's are the first seeds in order for the depression to go. But as I was completing about this compression, people that are arriving in depression and they are losing themselves, they don't want to be helped because they had enough. Because everything that comes from exterior, I had enough. I don't want to process more. I just want to be lived alone. So when a person doesn't want something, you cannot do it for them. And when, what Alina was saying, when they are ready, to be present for the moment when they are ready to accept your help, or they are asking for your help, and so on. And again, to cheer up, because it was this saying that the first step towards enlightenment is to laugh. Enlighten yourself.
Yes, to become light. Yeah. Yeah. As well, I think for me, the last experience on this helped me bring back the remembrance that I'm not the body, that I am a piece of consciousness, a soul that has a body. And even I was experiencing in the same time the aging situation in which I was seeing myself that I was aging, and that was coming on top of it, and it felt so unfair, like, wow, all these things at once. And finally, once you remember that you're not just the body that cannot remain perfectly like a doll or like a in a specific form, that comes with such a joy from inside. But it's a process. It's totally a process, and it's so personal, and for each of us has a particular way or pathway that will lead eventually basically in the same point, self, and should respond to those questions.
And detaching, because most of times we are saying, I am depressed, I am sad, I am. So let's do an intermediary step and not associate ourselves and define ourselves as being that, and to say, I feel depressed or I feel sad, and then going all the way into understanding that you are here and you are not your thoughts, neither your emotions, neither your beliefs, because those are always changing. So you are the essence and the soul that is living in this body, and you are neither of those, and you are pure existence, pure consciousness. And once you remember that, then are the first steps towards lighting you up, because you know that it's just an experience, and with your free will, you can just switch the perspective of how do you act or react to life itself.
And taking ownership also again.
And taking ownership, behaving differently, because nothing has given polarity. Nothing from all of our events in our life, nothing that is happening is not good or bad. We are giving them a polarity if it's good or bad. So knowing that, you can find your way out.
Mm-hmm. By the way, speaking about being enlightened, or not necessarily enlightened, but light, to feel light, I felt that, or I can say that burnout can come as well from wearing all the costumes and the masks that we have once put just because we didn't knew who we were, or we are not able to accept and put into the world this identity. And particularly for me, I felt like I was just taking out costumes and masks and so on, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're very subtle. Many people that know me would not say I have changed, but the internal reaction that I was having to different things was actually giving me facets or layers or masks, as I call them, in front of different situations, whereas now I don't bear that anymore with me, and that feels incredibly good, feels light, feels not necessarily floating, but it breathes.
Because it's a constant effort basically to always put on a mask and to remember how that mask looked like, and to make people see that mask but not your true self. And if you have many masks, imagine how.
And when you have a limiting belief that you don't overwork it, you don't deserve it, and if you don't work it, you're not going to be appreciated, because basically your whole value resides in how much you do, and if you don't do, there is no value. That is a tough one. So yeah.
Well, I think that sums up today's talk. Thank you both for being here today and for beautiful insights.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
If you like what we do, please follow us on all our social medias. Follow us, like us, give us recommendations. We always look forward to your feedback. And until next time.